episode 7 of the Shape Marketer podcast. Chris here. This episode is all about creative positioning fortune, which again is a written content piece on positioning, particularly how to creatively position yourself in the job market. And I paired it with an artwork I produced called Fortune, which portrays the 4 elements of earth, fire, air, and water. You'll see how everything lines up once I get into the story. This story might make the most sense if you listen to the last episode on storytelling, but regardless, it pairs well because this story is once again at the Storyteller Speakeasy. All right, here it is. Creative Positioning Fortune at the Storyteller Speakeasy. The Storyteller Speakeasy is never in the same place twice. Last time, it was tucked behind the pawn shop on Canal Street. Tonight, you find it beneath a flickering sign that simply reads Fortune. You step through the door, expecting the usual jazz, smoke, and hum of late-night conversation about brand arcs and broken dreams. Instead, the bartender doesn't pour you a drink. He slides you an obsidian coin, etched with the 4-pointed symbol. Back room, he says. The fortune teller is in. Down the hallway, lined with faded show posters and the faint smell of cardamom and ink, you find her, a cat seated in the center of a geometric circle with 4 glowing quadrants: earth, fire, air, and water. Her eyes catch the light like twin moons. "You're not lost," she says softly. "You're just poorly positioned." She taps a tarot card with her paw. Its back embossed with the same sigil as your coin. 4 elements, 4 truths. Let's see what makes your story worth betting on. Number 1, Earth, your journey. The first chamber hums low and steady, the smell of rain on stone. Images flicker in the sand, your first job, your first risk, your first spark of recognition. The cat's voice rumbles like a warm purr beneath the surface. Before you can tell the world who you are, you must remember how you got here. Roots matter. She gestures to the ground, where every step you've taken becomes a thread in a larger map. Trace your lineage of work, how your early influences, your mentors, your environments have shaped you. The audience may not see the soil, she says, but it makes the garden grow. You nod, realizing that clarity begins not with what you do, but with where it came from. Number 2, fire, your specialization. The next chamber flares alive, golden light and heat like a forge. The cat leaped lightly onto a workbench piled with glowing tools. Here, she says, is where your spark becomes your signature. You see moments of intensity, projects where you thrived, skills that felt like second nature, the problems you couldn't not solve. This is your North Star, she continues, the thing that would burn a hole in the sky if you didn't do it. Flames dance, forming silhouettes of others, your coworkers, clients, teams who benefited from your precision. She smirks. If you were gone tomorrow, what part of the work would collapse without you? You realize that specialization isn't what you do most, but what you do best when it matters. Number 3, air, your expertise. A door cracks open like a swirl of papers, diagrams, and whispers. Charts float midair, annotated with invisible hands. The cat strolls across them like stepping stones. Fire is passion, air is proof, she says. This is where breadth meets depth. Every certificate, every system you've mastered, every framework you've honed over time, they all orbit around you like constellations of skill. She flicks her tail towards one. You built more than experience, you've built structure. It's what lets you scale your brilliance. The air hums with clarity. You breathe it in. Methodologies, insights, best practices, all the scaffolding that holds your creative instinct aloft. Number 4, water, your differentiated value. Then comes the quiet. The chamber glows blue and soft. Ripples reflect your face a dozen ways, each slightly different. This is where your fortune is told, says the cat, but not by me, by what flows outward from you. She pads to the edge of the reflecting pool. Your journey and your skill mean nothing if they don't move people. How does your presence change the current? What feels different when you enter a room, a project, or team? You look down. The water shimmers with memories, moments of empathy, collaboration, humor, grace under pressure. The kind of things that don't fit neatly on a resume, yet change everything. This, she says, is your differentiated value, the resonance you create simply by showing up as you. The fortune unfolds. The four chambers dim, leaving only the cat's eyes. You came for a fortune, she says. Voice a whisper and a promise. But fortunes aren't foretold. They are revealed, piece by piece, in the work you dare to own. She slides the obsidian coin back across the table. It's warmer now, pulsing faintly, as if it's absorbed the heartbeat of every truth you've uncovered. Keep it, she says. It's your reminder that clarity isn't a spell, it's a story. Once you keep rewriting every time you step into the world. As you turn to leave, you realize the doorway has vanished. The speakeasy, the chambers, the cat, all gone. Only the faint smell of ink and incense remains. And somewhere in the distance, a purr you can't quite place. The ongoing mystery. Weeks later, in some corner of your day, you find the coin again. The sigil glows faintly when you touch it. For a moment, you hear the cat's voice, low, amused, knowing. Positioning isn't what you tell the world once, she murmurs. It's how you keep showing the world why you matter. You smile, because the fortune isn't over, it's only begun to speak. Earth, know your journey. Fire, claim your specialization. Air, show your expertise. Water, reveal your differentiated value. Together, they form the compass of your career story, the elements that turn uncertainty into identity and identity into opportunity. All right, well, that's a wrap for this episode on positioning. I have much more content on the topic of positioning since it's one of my very, very, very favorite marketing topics on theshapemarketer.com, my website. Positioning is also one of the key topics in Marketing Frame Tarot Solitaire, which was episode 2 of the podcast. And the whole article is available on theshapemarketer.com and my Substack. The next episode of the podcast is on brand messaging, which I adapted to the classic board game Clue. So really, storytelling, positioning, and messaging are kind of a special trinity of topics that inform each other. So stay tuned for that one.